One of the things I like to do is go to prisons as a reminder to myself and sit down with folks who are trying to earn a GED. And like we said, the majority of them have been warehoused in special ed for their whole career. How do you graduate reading on a second grade level, a first grade level? How do you graduate like that, right? It's because you've been warehoused and you've been prepared for them.
Well, we've coined the phrase the streets to prison pipeline because, like myself, I dropped out of school around the 7th grade and I was destined for prison.
It's the same type of thing in the state of West Virginia in the mountains. High poverty, parents that, they may be one parent or only one parent at home, and it's the same type of thing. They're dropping out of school, they're going to prison because they're getting into drugs or something to try to earn money to get by. And Tracy and I talk about it a lot, inner cities versus like the Appalachian area, and how it's the same, only they live in such different areas and societies. It's the same type of thing. There's no hope.
Right.
So if you steal hope from a kid, you've stolen his life.
Yeah.
So you have to give him hope back somehow. How do you do that? I think you do it with education.
It is education because, when I went to prison, I was 23. I was reading on a 3rd grade level. But when I learned to read, I felt good about myself. So reading does that for you.
Right.
It does that for you. It truly emancipates you.
It's really self-esteem. That's what Diana King says.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it, when we say, is it just teaching reading? But you're not going to read if you have bad self-esteem, if you think, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Because everybody's telling you can't do it. Your teachers told you you're stupid.
Right.
Your parents say we don't learn.
Right.
But if you have the self-esteem, which goes hand in hand.
And if we teach kids to read earlier, it cuts out disciplinary problems in school.
You see pretty much zero discipline problems. When children become little linguists and they own the currency, and they know I can take this currency anywhere. So there's the language or the dialect that I'm loved in, and I can honor that and appreciate that, but I've got this currency of academic English too. I can pull out and I can put it on the table, and I have a place at the table. And it's so interesting because in our country now we have this divide, but we don't have to have a divide. We need knowledgeable, critical thinkers who can make informed decisions, and that really it releases our mind, body, and our spirit to ideas that are really good ideas to drive where we are going.
Frederick Douglass said that. He said, once a man learns to read, he's free indeed.
He's free indeed.
Well, that is powerful.
It's interesting, the world has looked to us, I think, about what freedom means. And we know freedom rings through reading. And it sounds so simplistic, but it really is the truth. So if we got that right nationally, imagine if every child in our country, if we could land on the moon, every child in our country could read at or above grade level. Picture what would happen if we just did that right.
Talk about the moon. Look at what happened to all of our scores when we went to our math scores, our science scores.
A lot of people, they get so inundated with the science and the data and who we are that they forget about the children. And they forget specifically about children of color, and that dyslexia crosses all racial boundaries. And we may not get parents of color at these events like this, but they still matter. And those children on the ground, those children that grew up to be in Ameer, and thank God he got help and recognized what it was, and now he's become an advocate for it.
Exactly.
There are children that don't know about dyslexia, their parents don't know about it, and they're not going to come to these events, but they still need help.
That's right.
And we've got to go meet them where they are.